Hello, and thank you for joining me for this overview of the Fit Family Challenge, which is a primary care-based pediatric obesity program. You can see that there are many people who are involved with the Fit Family Challenge, including myself, Bonnie Jortberg at the University of Colorado Department of Family Medicine, and several others from the Colorado Academy of Family Physicians. So just to start off with some context about the Fit Family Challenge and why we even wanted to develop this program. So as many of you know, pediatric obesity has really increased dramatically over the past few decades. And currently, the obesity rates for children that are ages 6 to 11 years is at nearly 20%. And the primary care practice has really been shown that it could be a potential site to identify overweight and obese children through the fact that children come in and routinely their height and their weight are taken. And then taking that next step to then determine their BMI is something that could really be a natural fit for primary care. Since most children also come in with at least one parent, this is also the primary care practice is also an excellent location where education could take place for parents and children about the health risks of obesity. And then again, the primary care practice can also be an environment in which therapeutic interventions can also be presented to potential children and their families. So just to give you an overall design of the Fit Family Challenge, this is an intervention project that is a pilot project, and the goal of the Fit Family Challenge was to initially train primary care clinicians and staff on guidelines around pediatric obesity, and then to implement a family-focused behavior modification program that was delivered within the primary care setting. So in Colorado, we have 21 family medicine and pediatric community-based practices that have been participating in the Fit Family Challenge for over the course of about the last 3 years. We've had 290 children that were between the ages of 6 and 12 years with a BMI of at the 85th percentile or greater, and their families that have participated in the Fit Family Challenge. And this slide just shows our state of Colorado, and what you can see is that we really had some nice diverse locations throughout our state of practices that participated in the Fit Family Challenge. A number of them were in our Front Range area, so anywhere from Colorado Springs up to Fort Collins, but we had quite a few that were both on the western part of our state in Grand Junction and down in Durango, and also on the Eastern Plains out in La Junta and the Lamar area as well. So the project components for the Fit Family Challenge, we base the program on the 5210 message, and that is 5 or more servings per day of fruits and vegetables, 2 or fewer hours per day of screen time, 1 or more hour of physical activity per day, and then 0 servings of sugar-sweetened beverages. We chose to base the Fit Family Challenge on the 5210 for a couple of different reasons. For one, this type of campaign is something that many of our schools within Colorado have adopted. So it's a message that I think that many of the kids are hearing within their schools, and other community initiatives that are going on around pediatric obesity and obesity prevention. The other reason is we did a pretty extensive literature review when we were developing the Fit Family Challenge, and there's a number of other pediatric obesity projects that had also utilized the 5210 successfully in their interventions as well. As I mentioned, we did some training for clinicians and other team members to support behavior change, and we'll get into that in a little more detail in another slide set. And what we did during the training is that we went over the childhood obesity guidelines, and then also conducted a rapid improvement activity, that's what RIA stands for, where we actually went into the practice. We worked with them on terms of their workflows and getting everybody involved of what it really takes to be able to effectively screen children for obesity, and then to take the next steps around intervention. This was a one-day training that we did for practice staff and clinicians, and then we followed this up with monthly conference calls. So all of our practices that were participating in the Fit Family Challenge participated in monthly conference calls where we did some problem solving and discussing how things were going with the program at their sites. We also conducted site visits. On average, we did about 1 site visit per practice per year. We also held biannual learning collaboratives where we would bring in the key people from each one of the practices and bring them in together for one day to discuss their challenges and their successes. And also it was another learning opportunity for them as well. And then we provided some technical support. So both in terms of from a data perspective, collecting data, utilizing some of the tools, but also some support around the actual implementation of Fit Family Challenge. And the way that Fit Family Challenge is structured is that, and I'll go through this in detail in just a minute, but it's really around a monthly group visit. And the Fit Family Challenge program provided for each one of the practices basically a shelf-ready program that has each one of the monthly visits and the curriculum and also a participant guide. And then our practices utilize a system called Heart Smart Kids, which is a web-based system. Most of our practices utilize this on an iPad that was given to the child or parent as they were waiting in the waiting room. And this was a very quick questionnaire that the parent or child could complete on the iPad. Again, the questions were based on the 5210. And this was allowed some kind of clinician decision to support based on what the child or parent answered for the questions, and then also what they entered for their height and their weight to see if they were eligible to participate in the Fit Family Challenge. The other really nice aspect of Heart Smart Kids is that all of the data was stored for us in their data warehouse, and this gave us an opportunity to not only screen, but to be able to store data and utilize these data for our analysis. So this gives a flow diagram of the Fit Family Challenge. So what we asked our practices to do is to target children that were coming in for a well child check or for a sports physical to complete the Heart Smart Kids assessment. Again, that's on the iPad. As I mentioned, the child or parent would enter a height and a weight. If it came through as a BMI that was at the 85th percentile or greater, then there was a message that came up at the end of the survey that the patient or parent completed that would invite them to participate in the Fit Family Challenge. If they were not at a BMI of the 85th percentile or higher, this still gave an opportunity for some prevention. And so, as I mentioned, the questions would flag around the 5210. And so if the child was not meeting any of those parameters, it would also flag for the clinician some areas that he or she might want to talk to the child and parent about that might help them in terms of decreasing their risk for childhood obesity. So if we look in, and then so if they do qualify to participate, then the clinician would invite the child or and parent to participate in the Fit Family Challenge at that visit. They would also collect an actual weight and height, since the one that was entered within the Heart Smart Kids was actually a self-reported one from the parent or child. So they would actually enter in the baseline weight, height, and blood pressure. And then we asked every one of our practices to designate a care manager within the practice who would really oversee Fit Family Challenge within the particular practice. So then the patient, the child and parent would then refer to the clinic care manager, who would then do a baseline action plan with the parent or child, see what they wanted to work on using the feedback report from the Heart Smart Kids. They would set up a time for weekly contact and also a method. This could be done either through phone, email, or text message. And then the care manager would invite the child and the parent or any family member that they wanted to include to attend a monthly group visit and would encourage them to participate for 12 months. On a weekly basis, the care manager would contact the child via either the text message, email, or phone to report on their action planning goal. And then on a monthly basis, the child and parent and family members would attend the Fit Family Challenge class at that particular clinic. And whenever the child would come in for a monthly group visit, we would again remeasure their weight, their height, their blood pressure, reset their action planning goal, and also they would retake that Heart Smart Kids survey. So we did continuously gathered information around how their progress on meeting goals for 5210. At 6 months, this was basically a major kind of data gathering period where there would be a class, but the care manager would invite each child to come in individually and meet with them and review all their goals, and then again remeasure their weight, height, blood pressure. We take the Heart Smart Kids survey and reset their action planning. And then the same thing happened at 12 months as well. This slide just gives an example of the curriculum for the Fit Family Challenge. We do have a very detailed facilitators guide that's kind of a step-by-step guide of how to actually run the classes and the curriculum. And then what you can see in the middle is that we really tried to develop the curriculum for the monthly group visits so they're fun. They're really interactive. There's activities for the child and parent to do both while they're there at the group visit, and then some fun activities for them to take home and do together as a family. This slide right here shows the actual questions for the Heart Smart Kids questionnaire that the parent and child completed on the iPad. And again, you can see, hopefully you can see is that it's very visually appealing for kids. They're also very easy questions for the parent and the child to be able to complete. And you can see it's just a snapshot. Not all of the questions are listed here, but most of them are. And again, you can see that most of the questions ask a little bit about family history and so on, but most of them have to do with the 5210 message around what they're doing around fruit and vegetable intake, what they're doing around their physical activity, their screen time, and their sugar sweetened beverage intake as well. So that's the end of this slideshow, and thank you very much.